Hello, enchanted beings. Are you ready to make some medicine today? We're gonna make something for the seasonal gunk. And what I mean is every fall and every spring it gets really wet, really damp around here, and the mold count goes up. And that's when I just kind of feel super congested, super stuffy, right? I hate that feeling, and I don't like whenever it leads to like a sinus infection or headaches, things like that. So I have an herbal remedy that I prepare for my family, and it works really well for us, so I thought I would share it with you. We're going to be making a goldenrod and English aster with nettle elixir. Are you ready? Okay, let's start this. Let's talk about the plants first. I've got some English aster and New England, it's New England aster. Here it is, look, you see that? I bet you've got that growing around you if you live in the Midwest, because this is a really popular plant, even in gardens, but it is a native plant to this area. And the other plants that I'm going to talk about are also native to this area. This is called bioregional herbalism. That means that you use what is around you to make your herbal preparations for your family. Especially the ones that are very plentiful, and we definitely have a lot of New England aster. We also have a whole lot of goldenrod. Here's this beautiful goldenrod. You've seen it too, and do not let that Snow White movie throw you off, because Sneezy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not goldenrod that causes these problems for you. It's actually ragweed. There's a difference. They bloom at the same time. And this goldenrod, people will often ask me, like, how do you harvest goldenrod and dry it? And I want to talk about that too, because some of you might not be doing the fresh thing. You might be drying it to make later. There's lots of different goldenrods. This happens to be Solidago canadensis, Canada goldenrod. I don't remember the name of this one, sorry. But this is an aster, Asteraceae. You know. So what happens is you go to dry these plants and this happens. Do you see that? Poof! They turn into seeds. If you try to dry dandelions, you'll notice the same thing. They turn into seed. So how do you dry this and not get the poof? Well, you have to get them when they are not in full bloom. So this would be full bloom. And let's find one here. This is not in full bloom. You see how the flowers haven't really emerged on this one, and they have on this one? This one's gonna go poof when you dry it. This one is not gonna go poof when you dry it. In fact, what it will look like, I have some dried here. It'll look like this. This is dried goldenrod that I picked just before the flowers open. We're going to be making a folk tincture today. I've already talked to you about making folk tinctures. It's not super sciencey. It's not about like having to measure too many things or calculate too many things. So we're going to use brandy today, and we talk about, like, we can use Everclear, we can use vodka. Those are really popular, but brandy has also been traditionally used in medicine a lot. And this happens to be 40% alcohol by volume, so that's going to keep us above that 27% volume mark for tamping down any bacteriological sort of activation in there. I've got my mason jars, and all we're going to do is we're going to cut up these plants and we're going to fill them, these mason jars, with these plants. Now the reason why I'm making them separate and not putting the goldenrod and New England aster all in one jar is because, let's say you make a giant jar full of both plants, and then you take some tincture and you realize you're allergic to one of those plants or something. You have a bad reaction to one of those plants. Which one? Now you've got a whole entire jar that you've got to like throw away because it's reacting with you. So if you do them separately and you test them out separately, you don't have as much waste, and you can try it out that way. I've got my goldenrod, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it up, and I'm going to cut it into this jar. So I literally just hold it right above it, and I just start cutting. You don't have to worry so much about, oh, there's a spider. Oh, I'm glad it got out. You don't have to worry so much about being precise or making it too small. Though I will say that when you cut it small, you're allowing more surface area for the brandy to extract the constituents. We're also going to use nettles in this, fresh nettles, but I already made that tincture before because I made it in the spring. Here's my nettles in brandy. This is also in brandy. You know, brandy it tastes good, right? It tastes better than vodka, I guess. So I've got my goldenrod here. I'm just gonna fill this up all the way. I'm gonna completely cover my goldenrod. I'm covering it in brandy. There you go. There's my goldenrod folk tincture. Now I'm gonna set this aside. And now I'm gonna do the same thing with my New England Aster. I'm just gonna cut them into the jar. They're very resinous, and that's great. That means more medicine. You know, these plants, the reason why they help us is because they're trying to help themselves. So this resin is nice and sticky, a deterrent to the insects that want to eat the plant. So we're going to use that to help ourselves with our sinus issues. And what happens here is these plants help to kind of dampen that histemic response. So you know, you run into some pollen, some mold in the air, and then your body's like, ah, we must attack, and it's like going after that, gonna get it out. It just wants to get it out of you. That's why you get the inflammation and the gunk. That's where it comes from. It's that histemic reaction. So these plants help to dampen that reaction, and they help to dry that up. So they also help to curb the inflammation, and that's what we're doing when we're using this tincture. Now, the thing about tinctures is you don't just take them once a day. You actually take them throughout the day. You would normally be taking them about 3 to 5 times a day. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put our brandy in here. We're just gonna cover it up the same as we did the other one. These are gonna actually sit for 4 to 6 weeks, and you're gonna shake them every time you see them. So you put them somewhere that you see them, and then when you walk by, all you're gonna do is shake them up. The more you shake them, the stronger it's gonna be. And that I did nettles already. So this is my nettles, spring nettles and brandy, and I'm gonna combine these 3 to make an elixir. So basically what happens here is when these are done after 4 to 6 weeks, you can strain them and put them in another bottle. Okay, when these are done, we're gonna combine all 3 into one tincture. You can take them individually, like I said, to see if any of them react in any way in your body that isn't good for you. Try that out. I've already got some from last year, and this is the tincture. And all I would do to take this is I could put it in a tincture bottle and take it by the drops. But what if we add honey? Because that's how you make an elixir. So we're gonna use this brandy with our goldenrod, nettle, and New England Aster, and we're gonna add honey to it and make a wonderful elixir that tastes nice. And you can take it every day. And this is local honey. It's raw. It has not been pasteurized. So it has all of that goodness of the local pollen in it, which is helping to desensitize your system. So we're gonna put some of that in there. And I'm putting about 25% honey in this. So this is ready to go. I can shake this up, put it in a bottle, and use a dropper. And then I could take I call it sinus clear. That's what I call it. I'll label the bottle sinus clear, and then I use this for all of my sinus woes. Make your tincture, your folk tincture, make your elixir, and use this throughout the year for your family.